Hearing the name Dona Drake, many people may be unfamiliar, or if they know her, it is only through her supporting roles in Paramount's blockbuster films of the 1940s. But behind the stage lights, behind the charming smile and the exotic beauty that the studio tried to portray, there is a shocking secret, a life lived in hiding her true identity. This is not only the story of an actress, but also a painful reflection of harsh racism and the price to pay to survive in the ruthless entertainment industry of Hollywood during its heyday. The Perfect Act, the birth of Dona Drake. Let's go back in time to 1941. Paramount Pictures, one of the big guys of Hollywood, proudly introduced a new gem in its star cast, Dona Drake. As usual, the launch was accompanied by an official biography, painstakingly prepared by the PR department and released to the media. In those days, this was nothing less than an elaborate, welcoming ceremony. Studios didn't just sign actors, they created stars. They changed their names, rewrote their pasts, shaped their style, even went under the knife to create a perfect, marketable image that would appeal to the public and, most importantly, make money. Millions and millions of dollars were bet on these people, turning them into valuable business assets. According to that glossy biography, Dona Drake was a Mexican beauty, born into a family of restaurateurs named Jose and Nola Novella. She was described as having mixed blood, Mexican, Irish, and French, an exotic and fascinating mix, the perfect formula for appealing to a wide range of audiences. She was also carefully taught to speak fluent Spanish to bolster her Latina persona. Sound familiar, right? The mixed heritage trope was often a card Hollywood played, especially with actors who weren't exactly white by the standards of the time. The goal? To maximize mass appeal. Say she was French, and the French would be on board. Irish? That market was tapped too. The more origins listed, the more potential audiences, the more money the studios could make. But, as I said, this story will blow your mind. That entire biography, from her parents' names to her Mexican birthplace to her mixed blood, it was all a lie, an elaborate fabrication, a carefully staged drama. So, who was Dona Drake, really? The truth is, the woman the world knows as Dona Drake was actually born Eunice Westmoreland. She was born on November 15, 1914, not in Mexico, but in Jacksonville, Florida. Some sources say Miami. Her parents, Joseph and Nola Westmoreland, were not Mexican businessmen, but a light-skinned African-American couple. Yes, you read that right. Dona Drake, the actress who was heavily promoted as a Latin bombshell, was actually a black woman who was passing, a term used to describe a person from a minority group who conceals their origins in order to be accepted or benefit as a member of the majority group. In this case, white or Latino, who were considered more acceptable than black people in the eyes of Hollywood at the time. This is one of the most shocking cases of passing in Hollywood history, rivaled only by that of Merle Oberon, who hid his mother's South Asian heritage by presenting her as a maid. Why? The answer is heartbreaking. Ambition. Ambition to have a real acting career, not to be relegated to maids, cooks, or cheap, comedic supporting roles. The only roles Hollywood would allow a beautiful, talented black actress to play. They knew that the public and the studios would not accept a black woman as the romantic lead opposite a white actor. The racial barrier was an iron wall that was almost impenetrable. Imagine the burden Eunice Westmoreland and her family had to bear. Her parents had to pretend that their daughter was a stranger, could not attend her film premieres in public, had to live in fear of their secret being exposed. It was a painful sacrifice, a testament to their boundless love, but also an unspeakable tragedy. Eunice Westmoreland grew up in Florida, one of 5 children. From an early age, she showed an innate talent for music. Her parents recognized this early, but they probably could not have imagined how far that talent would take their daughter and how much it would cost. Around 1930, when Eunice was a teenager, the Westmoreland family moved to Philadelphia. Her father worked in a restaurant, and Eunice, with her striking beauty and musical talent, helped out there for a short time, sometimes performing serving customers. But the dream of becoming a star always burned within her. In 1932, a bold decision was made. Eunice, her mother, and a restaurant friend named Renee Villon packed up and headed to Manhattan, New York, the center of opportunity and the spotlight. This is when Eunice began her journey to conceal her ethnic origin. With her naturally curly hair and distinctive blue-green eyes, she could easily be mistaken for Caucasian or Latina. Eunice, who may have used a different stage name at this time, perhaps Unveiling and Renee, formed a singing duo. They quickly landed a gig at the famous Paradise Club on Broadway. It was here that Earl Carroll, a notorious theater producer and rival of Flo Ziegfeld, took notice of the talented young woman. Eunice was not only beautiful, she could also sing, dance, and play a variety of musical instruments, including the clarinet, drums, saxophone, and piano. In 1934, the famous columnist Walter Winchell wrote about her performance at a nightclub. Una Villon's hip movements synchronized the rhythm. Instead of the conductor conducting, the young girl controlled the horn players with her sways. This compliment showed her charisma and talent as a performer. It was also around this time that Una's life took a dramatic and dangerous turn. She began dating Louis Pretty Amberg, a notorious Russian gangster. Amberg lavished her with attention and lavish gifts. However, the affair ended tragically in October 1935 when Amberg was found dead, naked, in a burning car in Brooklyn, a classic mafia hit. When questioned by the FBI about her relationship with Amberg, Una, who may have started using the name Rita Rio by this time, initially claimed to know him only as Mr. Cohen and was unsure of his occupation. She later admitted to knowing Amberg, describing him as a polite, respectful man with whom she often rode horses in Central Park. The incident certainly cast a shadow over her life, revealing the complex underworld she was approaching. After the Amberg affair, Una Rita Rio made her way to Hollywood. She changed her stage name to Rita Rio and landed a small role as the fiery Tina in the comedy Strike Me Pink, 1936, opposite Eddie Cantor and Ethel Merman. However, this debut role did not create the expected buzz. Hollywood still did not welcome her with open arms. Not to be outdone, Rita Rio returned to New York and decided to take a bold gamble, a spectacular PR stunt. She completely immersed herself in the image of a Latina and formed a unique orchestra, Rita Rio and her Rhythm Girls, an all-female, and more importantly, all-white orchestra led by a black woman pretending to be a Latina. Imagine the irony and audacity of that at the time. A black woman, hiding her identity, stood up as the leader, conducting a group of white women in public. This orchestra quickly made a big splash. Not only did they play good music, but they also had the strange and attractive element from the beautiful, charming conductor with a very Latin name, Rita Rio. They toured successfully across the United States, performing with famous boy bands like Kay Kaiser. Upon her return to Hollywood, Rita Rio and her orchestra made a number of musical shorts, which were often shown before major films in theaters. One notable short featured Rita performing the jaunty song Feed the Kitty alongside a rising young actor named Alan Ladd. These shorts helped her maintain her screen presence and cement her image as a musical Latin beauty. The birth of Dona Drake, the Paramount door opens the real turning point, came when she ran into Dorothy Lamour, a famous actress she had known since her days in New York. Lamour, by then a big star at Paramount, recommended Rita to the studio for a role in the South Pacific set romantic adventure, Aloma of the South Seas, 1941. Rita or Eunice jumped at the chance. She excelled in her audition and won the role. It was at this point that Paramount decided she needed a new name, a new image altogether. And so the name Dona Drake, pronounced Dona, which sounds more foreign than Donna, was born. Along with the new name came the fake biography of her Mexican origins that we know. The big question remains, did Paramount know the truth about Dona Drake's origins and deliberately concealed it? Or did Drake succeed in fooling the studio? It's hard to say for sure. Studios in those days had a fairly thorough background investigation network, but it's also possible that they knew the truth and decided that creating a Latina star would be easier and more profitable than trying to promote a black actress. Either way, The show had begun. Aloma of the South Seas became a huge success, even receiving an Oscar nomination for cinematography and visual effects. This success immediately brought Dona Drake's name to a new level. Paramount quickly assigned her to the next roles. After Aloma, Dona Drake became one of Paramount's favorites. She was given an important supporting role in Bob Hope's hit comedy, Louisiana Purchase, 1941. Legend has it that Bob Hope was so impressed with this beautiful young actress that he asked her to be in his next film in the famous Road to series. And so, Dona Drake appeared in Road to Morocco 1942, starring alongside the legendary trio Bob Hope, Bing Crosby, and Dorothy Lamour. In this film, she played Mihirma, a beautiful Arabian princess, further cementing her exotic image. In addition to acting, Dona Drake also actively performed at nightclubs and participated in military morale-boosting activities during World War II. However, a clear sign that her career at Paramount was on the wane came when the studio loaned her to the smaller, low-budget studio Monogram to star in Hot Rhythm, 1944. Paramount terminated her contract shortly thereafter. Dona Drake later recalled her time at Paramount with mixed feelings. At first, it was great with Paramount. I thought I was on my way to becoming a real movie actress. The end of her contract was certainly a blow to her ambitions. While filming Hot Rhythm at Monogram, a friend and fellow actress, Joan Blondell, introduced Dona Drake to a talented young costume designer named William "Billy" Travilla. Travilla was working at Western Costume at the time, but his talent was soon recognized. He would later become an industry legend, winning an Oscar for Adventures of Don Juan 1948, and best known for creating Marilyn Monroe's iconic dresses, including the flowing white pleated dress in The 7-Year Itch. Dona and Billy fell in love at first sight. After only 10 days of knowing each other, they decided to marry. The wedding took place on August 19, 1944, at Santa Monica City Hall. The marriage put a terrible strain on Dona Drake's secret. At that time, marriage between whites and blacks was illegal in California and many other states. Hiding Dona's racial background was no longer just a matter of career, but also a matter of legality and the security of her marriage. It is unclear when Billy Travilla learned the truth about his wife. Did she confess before the wedding, or did he find out later? Either way, he was certainly complicit in keeping the secret. This raises a number of troubling questions. Did Dona's parents attend the wedding? If so, who were they introduced to? Who else knew the truth? The lack of information and photos from the wedding suggests that the couple tried to keep things as secret as possible, especially from the press. The burden of secrecy now weighed not only on Dona, but also on her husband. The price of lying Dona. Drake's personal life became increasingly gloomy. She struggled with mild epilepsy and chronic emotional instability. Her husband, Billy Travilla, once remarked sourly, "She was one of those actresses who had a hard time coming home and breaking free from the character she had been playing all day." This remark revealed part of Dona's tragedy. Living in a false role for so many years, the role of Dona Drake, the non-existent Latina woman, seemed to have eaten into her psyche, making it difficult for her to distinguish between the real person and the character. The burden of the lie, the fear of being discovered, the distance from her roots, all certainly contributed to her mental health. In the midst of that storm, there was a glimmer of light. In 1951, Dona Drake gave birth to her only daughter, Nia Travilla. The joy of motherhood brought her a much-needed break. She paused her career to enjoy her new calling. The break from her career did not improve Dona Drake's mental state. Her epilepsy and mental health problems continued to plague her. Her relationship with Billy Travilla became increasingly strained, and in 1956, they decided to separate. However, they never formally divorced and remained on friendly terms for the sake of their daughter Nia. Dona even modeled in Travilla's fashion shows, and they appeared as a family in an episode of Groucho Marx's You Bet Your Life in 1960. Despite these efforts, Dona Drake's life continued to be difficult. In 1967, her condition became so severe that she sent her daughter Nia to live with Travilla so she could focus on getting help for her epilepsy and mental health issues. However, no treatment seemed to really work. Tragedy eventually struck. On June 20, 1989, Eunice Westmoreland, the woman known to the world as Dona Drake, died in Los Angeles at the age of 74 from pneumonia and respiratory failure. She died in silence, the secret of her true identity remaining largely unknown at the time. Dona Drake's story is a painful reminder of the brutality of racism in the history of Hollywood and American society in general. It exposes a system that forced talented artists like her to make unthinkable choices just to have the opportunity to pursue their passion. She was not alone. Many other actors had to pass or face harsh discrimination. What do you think of Dona Drake's story? Please leave your comments below. We hope you found this video helpful. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe if you enjoyed it. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next videos. Bye.